Afternoon. Tiger Woods changed the face of golf since his historic victory at the 1997 Masters. Only one other black golfer has competed as a full-time member of the PGA Tour, but that number increased by one in 2016. Harold Varner III's rookie season on the PGA Tour is not only the result of his immense talent and work ethic, but also a rich and often untold history of African-American participation in golf. On a grassroots level, that is. Our ESPN's Michael Eaves has more.
On an unseasonably warm February day in Charlotte, some of the ParBusters are out on their local municipal course.
Yeah, Harold. Good looking shot. I get there.
These African-American amateurs, like countless other minority golf groups across the country, have used the game of golf as both the means of recreation and community outreach.
Make sure you got that one.
ParBusters Golf Group was formed in 1967. It's a section called Grilltown in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And we're all like family when we play a tournament. Everybody want to play a better game, and the camaraderie comes in real strong. Everybody want to whoop on somebody.
Harold Varner Jr. introduced his son, Harold III, to the game with a set of plastic golf clubs when he was just 2 years old. A decade later, Harold Jr. would often drop off his son at a nearby municipal course, while Dad went to work at a local car dealership. It was during those rounds with the ParBusters where the younger Harold developed his game and his personality.
I learned a lot. You know, I learned how to cuss like a sailor.
We don't do that. We might swear, but we don't cuss.
He probably got that when the three of us was gone. He got that from somebody else.
It was a good experience for me. I guess that helped me mature. That's a huge thing, I think. And now, like, it helps me out now.
We called Harold Little Harold. We would go play. Harold 10, 12 years old, he's playing with us. So we got the little boy back there with us, and as he turned 12 years old, he's beating us.
They loved golf just as much as I did. You know, I'm just trying to play as much as possible, so are they. You know, yeah, they're trying to possibly get away from their wives or something, but I'm just wanting to play golf.
Varner played well enough to earn a golf scholarship to East Carolina University. He turned professional in 2012, playing on golf's mini tours. And then in the fall of 2015, Varner became the first black golfer to earn his PGA Tour card through the Web.com Tour, golf's premier minor league circuit. When you made the tour, do you feel like they made it too?
Yeah, for sure. When you make it, you should be proud of those people that are behind you. Anyone that's made it on the PGA Tour, there's been a group or multiple people that have helped them get there.
The one thing I'm most proud of Harold, he's staying humble, and he'll never forget how these guys helped him through.
And I look up to all of them. There's a lot of life advices that I've used from those guys.
Shot, Rock and Ray. Boy, he hitting that ball, ain't he?
Nothing's changed. I'm still their little, little kid, son, whatever. They still want to see me do well.
I'm just at awe when a kid is living your dream, probably living all our dreams put together. It's pretty cool, pretty cool.
Great story. Michael Eaves joins us now. Earlier, we mentioned the often untold history of African Americans in golf. So tell us, Michael, about their impact on the sport.
Well, since the game was first introduced to America, African Americans have been involved. In fact, the first American-born player to ever play in the U.S. Open back in 1896 was John Shippen. He was black. The golf tee, which I have right here, even if you've never played golf, odds are you know what this is. Back in the day, in the 19th century, you would have to take some sand, pinch it together, and prop your ball up until Dr. George Grant, a dentist, the second African-American, by the way, to graduate from Harvard's dental school, got a patent in 1899 for the golf tee. So that's how deep it goes in terms of just the game being in America. And we've seen influences through the years, whether through the caddy programs or other golfers who've made it to the PGA Tour, but also just on a grassroots level. There are millions of people who play golf black people, I should say, who play golf around the country, but oftentimes, like the ParBusters, people just don't know about them.
You mentioned the ParBusters. Let's stay there for a second. How many people know about the ParBusters and that it exists? And I'm assuming there's other organizations just like these, other groups.
Oh, without question. From Long Island to Los Angeles, from Milwaukee to Miami, there are countless numbers of these African-American groups. There's Tire Town in Akron, Par Makers, which my father was a member of in Kentucky when I played as a junior. That got me into the game of golf. The first tournaments I played as a junior, the first tournaments I won were sponsored by these African-American groups. And then out in Los Angeles, for example, you have the Advocates. Not only do they have a wing for mentoring young golfers, but also students to help them get scholarships, they also sponsor the Advocates Pro Tour, which Harold Varner played during his mini-tour career to help young aspiring minority golfers get a chance to just play and then go and make some money and then try to go on up the ladder and hopefully reach the PGA Tour.
Well, in 2013, golfing documentation says there were about 25 million golfers at that time. And of that, maybe a million, a little more than a million were African American. Let's talk about the lack of interest or maybe the ability not to be a part of the sport. Why is there such a decline when it comes to African Americans?
Two things, easy. Cost, access.
Okay.
Golf is probably one of the more expensive sports to participate. Hockey, lacrosse, where you have to have a lot of equipment. You know, you could have a basketball, 25, 30 bucks, 10 guys could play with it all day long. You could lose a golf ball on your very first shot of the day, and you have to keep buying those. Clubs are expensive. Even if you get a good, brand of used clubs, they're going to cost you a couple $100s. Then there's access to the actual golf courses. You have to pay to play golf as opposed to going to a park and having a pickup game of flag football or what have you. And what was unique about Harold's story is not necessarily unique to amateur golfers around the country. Sure. He had a group, the ParBusters, that his father entrusted with him to go and play golf as much as he could. He had a $100 pass.
They taught him how to curse.
Well, I learned how to curse too from my dad.
Okay, yeah.
50-year-old men. But they also, in the African-American culture, it's an old African proverb, we say it takes a village to raise a child.
Absolutely.
Well, in this case, it also took a village to raise a professional golfer because they didn't have access to the country club that so many tour professionals have, but they gave him an environment in which to not only play, but to grow and mature, and then eventually, now he's on the PGA Tour.
Let's talk about him for a minute, the inspiration behind this piece here. Harold Varner's rookie season, how's he doing?
He's played 10 events so far since earning his tour card. He's made a little more than $400,000, which places him 67th on the money list. He needs to finish in the top 125 to continue his full playing privileges for next year. So he's well on his way in that regard. However, being a rookie, he does have limited status in terms of getting to certain events. He's not playing this week in Honda, hopes to play in Doral next week, and then still has to qualify for even the U.S. Open, which is obviously open to anyone, amateur status below a certain index. So he's got the game. Kid can play. He's not very tall for the modern golfer, but he puts it out there 300 plus. I believe he has the attitude and the game to be very successful on this tour.
One to watch for
Absolutely.
On the tour. Quickly, before we go, why'd you pitch the story idea, and why'd you want to do it so badly?
Because I played junior golf, and if it wasn't for the friends of my father's who allowed me to tag along and play with them, I would not have played golf. I would not have gone to the Kentucky State Golf Tournament as a senior in high school and walked on the golf team in Kentucky. That would not have happened without these players, and I want other people to know that it's not just the guys who reach the PGA Tour who keep golf alive in African-American communities. It's guys like the ParBusters.
I appreciate it. A full education. Michael Eaves, great job. I'll send it back to you, David.